What was your hold it moment where you knew you would win? I'd been working at this tech company for 8 years, and my manager Ethan had basically made a career out of stealing my work. Every project I touched, every idea I came up with, somehow became his brilliant contribution by the time it reached upper management. I watched him get promoted twice while I stayed in the same cubicle, watching him present my code like he wrote it himself. But about 6 months ago, I started keeping track of everything. Not just the big stuff, every email, every Slack message, every time he ignored my bug reports or changed his mind after approving something. I had this folder on my desktop called Backup Files that was really just me building a case. Screenshots of conversations, timestamps on code commits, even recordings of team meetings where he'd contradict himself. The company announced they were restructuring and there were going to be layoffs. Ethan called an emergency team meeting and started talking about how some people weren't pulling their weight. He kept glancing at me when he said it. Then he pulled me aside after and told me I should probably start looking for other opportunities because the higher-ups were questioning my performance. That's when I knew he was planning to throw me under the bus to save his own job. The next day, he scheduled a meeting with the board to discuss our team's performance. He told me to attend because they wanted to hear everyone's perspective. I knew what that meant. He wanted me there to take the blame for everything that had gone wrong. The morning of the meeting, I sat in that conference room with 6 board members, the CEO, and Ethan. He had this whole presentation ready about our recent product launch that had failed. For 20 minutes, he went on about how the development team had missed deadlines, ignored user feedback, and delivered buggy code. He kept saying, the development team, but everyone knew he meant me since I was the only developer in the room. Then he really went for it. Started calling me out by name, saying I was careless with critical details and resistant to feedback. Said I had ignored multiple warnings about issues with the product. The CEO was taking notes, nodding along. I could feel my job slipping away. That's when I asked if I could respond to his concerns. Ethan looked annoyed, but said, sure, go ahead. I pulled out my laptop, connected it to the projector, and opened my folder. Started with an email from 3 months ago where Ethan had approved the exact approach he was now calling careless. Then another one where he had told me to ignore the user feedback he claimed I had dismissed. But the real moment, the one where I knew I had him, was when I showed them the bug reports. For 2 weeks, I had been sending him daily emails about a critical issue that would cause the exact problems we ended up having. He had responded to every single one with, looks good, ship it, or minor issue, we'll fix it later. I played a screen recording of him in a team meeting literally saying, just push it live, nobody's going to notice if there's a small glitch. The room went completely silent. The CEO stopped taking notes and just stared at the screen. Then I showed them the Slack conversation where Ethan had called the whole project a waste of time and said he was only putting his name on it for career advancement. There was even a message where he joked about letting me take the fall if this thing crashes and burns. Ethan's face went completely white. He started stammering about how those messages were taken out of context and that he was just frustrated in the moment. But I had timestamps for everything. Clear, undeniable proof that he had approved every decision he was now blaming me for. The CEO asked Ethan to step outside. Through the glass wall, I could see him pacing back and forth, probably trying to come up with some explanation. When he came back in, the CEO told him his position was being eliminated immediately. Security walked him out of the building with his cardboard box of desk stuff. They offered me his job on the spot. Same conference room, same meeting. I didn't even have to think about it. I said yes, and my first decision as manager was to implement a policy requiring all project approvals to be documented in writing. Funny how that worked out.